Hey guys, for any that forgot, Fate is an action RPG adventure game I've been working on solo for going on 6 years now. We got a lot of buzz early in development, but kind of backed away to focus on polish. We came back again and some remarkable things happened in 2025. We got fully funded on Kickstarter, we got an Unreal Engine dev grant, and we picked up our awesome 3D artist Oleg in Uzbekistan. Since then, I'd be lying if I said things went entirely smoothly. From random rampant bugs, crashes, even life trauma, we've had a lot of bad things happen. Things that will be in this video to get you caught up on where we are in development. Timestamps, and get ready for a longer video because it's going to be a lot of either gameplay or me rambling to tell you what the hell happened. Starting off with the big elephant in the room, some of you know I went through a small depression in mid-2025. Growing up, I had a lot of passion for video games that I got from my brothers. My eldest brother, Dexter, was a classic. I won't show you how to beat Majora's Mask, but I won't let you look stupid either, but I will roast you when you have trouble playing through different temples and locations. He showed me all kinds of games and was one of my biggest inspirations for my art, music, and eventually game development. Sadly, due to unforeseen circumstances, he was diagnosed with cancer. He fought hard, but eventually he dedicated himself to what remained of his time he had left with his family, a choice I'm sure he could never regret. I went to see him when I could, as much as I could, balancing work on Fade and balancing my full-time job. The last time I saw him, he was sure it was going to be the last, so I told him I'd stay with him in his last days. But he urged me to continue on a trip that I had planned to New York, which some of you will know that was the Kickstarter trip when I went to New York to kind of, give you guys cards and go to the different card shops. It was his wish that I keep, pushing my project and, really getting started on it and spend time with like this new family that I had in New York. He passed the day of my trip and it hurt worse than anything I've ever felt. I love my brother deeply. I always love my brother deeply, and I'll always be indebted to him for the incredible moments he's brought to my life. And everyone's probably grateful for the things that he's done for them as well. Now, with that in mind, I had to mourn for a bit. I mean, it's only human, but people in my family are built a little different in terms of how we handle stress and difficult situations. We lose ourselves in work when we're going through a lot or just sleep a lot. Despite the depression, I was able to get a lot done in our first year of really working on Fade with a budget. Our character creator is nearly done as we are waiting for Oleg to put the finishing touches on the human features. And even more important to me, Corvins or Corvinals have been fully added to the game. At the cost of having a lower base armor and less HP, you can play as an agile Corvin with a high affinity for dexterous weapons. At least have a high base dex stat. We're talking bonus damage with bows, extra piercing damage with daggers, and even better, 2 special Corvinal armor sets that can be found in the game through just the story. I want Corvinals to be very customizable, but also realistic within Fade's world. I had a worry someone might try to make themselves into a parrot. While I did include a beak option for parrots, your color scheme is intentionally limited. You can adjust different furs on the body, the cape, the chest fur, and the eye type. Each of these follows suit with your changes to eye color and fur color as well. They're having a bit of Argonian effect on me as well. Whenever I play RPGs, I almost always go for the part animal or creature species if it's cool enough. The fact that I get that vibe from it lets me know that I made a good choice and we're moving in the right direction. Next, Fade was long due a visual and performance overhaul. Many Unreal Engine devs know this, but this engine has not only a few kinks, but an immense, unyielding wall of "You shall not pass!" This in mind, there's certain things you can only learn by doing, focusing on visuals. I added volumetric fog back into the game. This allows me to now add enticing and mysterious ground fog as well, better fidelity in certain areas while still getting that foggy aesthetic. It's a common complaint in the indie game space where people think games are too foggy or things they can't see in front of their face. A lot of that comes down to atmospherics, where they want to push a certain aesthetic, but they don't know how to draw the line between the art and gameplay. I could even make a Silent Hill fog wall if I wanted, but the reality is that's not going to be good for the gameplay or a lot of things for you to be able to view and enjoy the world. So I'm trying to find a balance. I think I found a good spot for it for now. I can definitely pull it back a little more with more gameplay since you guys are going to be testing it out pretty soon with the new update I'm going to be dropping with the new story elements. Now, apart from adding volumetric fog, I made some changes to the player as well. I overhauled the settings menu to prepare for PC and console in the near future. With that in mind, I also had to account for players who enjoy Souls-likes differently. Some players prefer a more smooth camera experience where they have 100% control of what the camera's doing, while others kind of prefer dynamic cameras that let you control them but also adapt to the space they're in or what you're doing during the gameplay. Or sometimes just where the boss is, so it zooms out a little more. With that in mind, I provide a great solution. The dynamic camera setting allows you to toggle between having a camera that reacts to front stabs, back stabs, running, falling, and even being in indoors. Having it off removes those curves and keeps the camera stable, with only adjustments when you lock onto opponents or rotate it yourself. In addition, I am planning on adding another kind of feature to it to basically make it zoom out a little more when you're zoomed in on larger bosses. That way, your perspective isn't kind of like lined up directly with theirs. But I don't want to mess with the alignment of how bows function in the game, because once you kind of adjust the camera, it gets a little difficult to kind of make sure that your reticle is matching up to where the arrow is supposed to land. But looking forward to seeing more feedback on this new edition. There's a slew of new settings as well. So next was working on the weapons in the game. While I had set up 40 different options for early game and the first chapter, it became very clear that my old texture work was lacking in quality. This led me down a rabbit hole to remind myself that you want all your textures to be in a power of 2. In Unreal Engine, this allows you to access the filters to adjust how blurry or sharp textures are. Also makes it so they load faster in the engine. So the pipeline looked a little like this. Get a weapon in the game I want to add, place it into my testing map, get the proper lighting on it so it shows up but isn't too bright, take a high resolution screenshot using a cinematic camera to blur the background, then take and import the image into GIMP, and there it goes. There it pretty much gets easy. If you've used GIMP before, or Photoshop that is, I simply mask out the background, add an opacity vignette to the image, finish off with a drop shadow. Once re-imported, you have a perfect texture image of your item back in the game. A little hard to do quickly at first, but once you get down to a muscle memory, nothing's stopping you except yourself and just sitting down and really just doing these one by one. So I ended up redoing pretty much all of the main weapons for the game, including stuff that hasn't been added to the game yet. So hopefully won't have to do this again for a while unless I'm adding something new and cool and fun that's normally like 1 to 2 items. Now, with graphical improvements in fields for textures as well as for just the game environments in general, it was time to also up the ante on the narrative. Originally, I wrote out an elaborate script and was all on board to use it, but I kept coming back to moments I played games and actually enjoyed that it let me interpret the story through dialogue. With this in mind, I only animated very important cutscenes with story NPCs. Everything else kind of has an exploration vibe where you get out what you put in and you explore to find different things.
The name's Oscar. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm normally bound to my studies, so I won't have much time to converse, I'm afraid. I'm looking for a drake that will lead me straight to Vishal.
Questioning how a rough and tumble trader like me is allowed to do business with the straight and narrows. Nothing wrong with doing dirt. If you're doing it for the right people. Anyone dare take issue with the fun I have in my spare time? Bollocks. The moment royals take heed of their gripes, it'll be dead in the water. Assuming I won't have to cut their sails myself.
I can empathise with such a curse. Long ago, my mother suffered from a similar affliction. She was a symbol of radiance, the wisest person in our family, till her illness stole her sanity. Though Vincent's intentions for you are mainly for our own cause, I shall offer my aid to your personal struggles as well. I see you have an aura flask. It will aid you greatly in your journey. When you need to attune the flask, bring it to me. I can use any catalyst you bring me to not only bolster your flask, but modify its effects. May all aura unveil its true form. Shattered bind. Restore bind. Aura display. Be careful out there, Seeker. May the Maker guide you.
So while some of the main NPCs that are going to help you in your journey, like Lady Narazana, who adjusts your potions and modifies them, are going to be found in certain spots around the map, in addition, you're also going to have to find certain other NPCs, and your different quests and your involvements with them will cause them to be at the player hub. Now, in setting up these characters and everything, each one is very specific and particular. For example, in this case, you can see where there's an issue here with this camera I had to adjust before we started, where I didn't realize I'd adjusted his height. So I had to basically go in and figure out what the right orientation for this camera was. But that's kind of what a lot of these situations are. It's just me setting up intuitive conversations and situations for certain NPCs and dialogue, and how they interface with the story and overall quest. Now that we've covered some of the narrative, let's get into some of the features that are going to be present in this upcoming update in general. Making its general return are the character classes, but more intuitive. You get to choose between 5 starting classes. You also get to choose between starting gifts and items to help you start your journey, and in the future, difficulty options or challenges. But the key things will just be in terms of balancing for each class. Each one has its strong suits, its different abilities, as well as new weapon types in general. For example, the Scholar now has access to the magic staff. The Disavowed Knight now has access to the new one-handed spear, which is different from the two-handed spear, which has a different moveset and is a lot heavier, and also uses more stamina. And in general, he also has a shield. So he has basically like a lot of kit that you would want to have a warrior class that just fights enemies. Additionally, the Tarnished Priest is mainly the holy class, where you kind of have a very heavy shield and a very blunt club that's very useful in combat, which later on you'd have an affinity for holy items. And then the Betrayed Thief, which is primarily the assassin class, which involves twin daggers, a very fast S-stock one-bladed sword with a very quick parrying shield meant to deflect attacks. In addition, they also have a bow that has a different kind of special movement ability. Once your character is generally to your liking, as you can see I switched over to the Knight, you're basically going to select your starting trinket or gift item that helps you on your start of your journey or throughout your journey depending on the item you select. Some of them are just, restorative items. Some of them are rings that are very rare to the story. And while others are also really important or powerful tools that could help, really help to some of the early difficulty for certain areas. Now, once you basically have selected the trinket you'd like to stop with and everything, you would then choose your difficulty, which everyone's going to start off with just the Chosen's Path, which in the future, I do see myself adding higher difficulty levels or specific difficulty challenges. But that's going to be something for the future, not anything I want to try to discuss now. I'm trying to make sure everything's fairly balanced right now. Now, getting into the overall stuff that's basically going to be in this current build are the basic things that people who've played the demo have come accustomed to, just with more content and more combat in general, and more locations to explore. For example, I brought back tutorials in general. This is a tutorial for locking onto enemies and targeting, which we can also use to kind of go over some of the new aspects that have changed in the combat system. So you'll notice that whenever I'm sprinting or trying to dodge different motions, I'm basically pivoting in a different way that makes it a little easier to dodge when I'm directly targeted onto an enemy. This is decided upon whether or not I'm holding the sprint button or not. If you hold down sprint, it allows you to kind of freely move in a 8-direction scheme away from enemies and targets while you're maneuvering. While if you were to basically do it straight up, you'll do side dashes and side dodges, except your roll backwards would always be the back roll. This is to make it so you're kind of more so picking a specific enemy to kind of maneuver around, versus you kind of just rolling all over the place and kind of putting yourself in tough situations. Now, if I were to compare it to anything, it feels more like a Bloodborne-esque dodge system, which is a little more rigid. Another new addition with the update to the Aura Mantle tutorial that gives you a little more information on how they function and how they're supposed to be used. I also added a new dissolve mechanic to the game, basically allowing me to cause final bosses and more serious enemies to dissolve upon defeat. Also able to cause hidden doors and different secret passageways to be attacked and also dissolved by use. Same thing for hidden bridges that you walk on, as well as when the player fast travels, you also will dissolve and then come back in after a short loading screen to come into certain areas. Now, there's a little bit of a hitch when it's done the first time of each playthrough when starting the game. I'm not sure what I can do to stop that currently. I do know some people will pre-cache or pre-do certain things before the game runs to try to prevent that. So I'll probably see what options there are for it. Because realistically, if you just have to have it play one session for it to not have any kind of performance issue, then it's kind of just be an easy fix, then just have it be done off screen. Now, in general, same thing, Aura Mantles function the same way they did before, fast traveling to different locations, also you having a difference of being able to level up, and also them having their own kind of restrictions. But I also added in the option where if enemies get too close to an Aura Mantle, it'll also lock down. This is inspired by other Souls-likes that do certain similar things, such as Lies of P, and then also I believe there was one of the Souls-like that has a similar mechanic. But the main goal will just be, I want to make sure that people will be able to lock down Aura Mantles when they're coming after the player. That way you can't just kind of just use it to respawn all the enemies, and you kind of have to pay for, allowing these enemies to get so close to such an important resource. Next, Aura Echoes are back as well, which I'll go ahead and be quiet for this one.
You must calm your breathing now, Sandra. We're safe for now, but we can't let them.
I understand. I'm sorry. I should have came when you said you were leaving.
Never mind that now. The only thing that matters is getting to the capital.
So the purpose of Aura Echoes throughout Fade is to kind of guide you to special points of interest, backstory, and different things in different areas to kind of give you an idea of different things you can expect, or different things you can seek out. Over time, you'll find more of these. They reward a small amount of aura when used, and then additionally, they'll guide you to locations like this. For example, this is mainly just a part of the tutorial that heads forward, but the first place it goes is this Aura Flash Shrine. Aura Flash Shrines are locations you should always be seeking out. Similar to an Erd Tree in an Elden Ring, these are where you find additional potions that you can basically have to use throughout the story. And you're increasing the amount of empty Aura Flash you have as you slowly strengthen your singular one. Now, you'll get an empty Aura Flash, but the next time I use any kind of Aura Mantle, it'll then recharge, allowing me to have a total of 3 after this one. There's going to be a series of them throughout the game, so it's going to be a part of exploration in each area to find them to expand your amount of potions, which you definitely want to kind of balance, because the big thing is I don't want you to have like a crazy health economy to make sure you're still able to use and appreciate items throughout the game. Now, we just hit a stagger and attacking tutorial, but we are about to hit another Aura Echo, so I'm just not going to get into it. I'm just going to go ahead and let this dialogue play as well.
Your ankle. Can you still run?
It stings, but I can manage. Just don't leave me behind.
Never. I came back for you. Remember? We're leaving this place together. That's final.
So during that fight with the enemy, you'll notice that when I was blocking, I was having a special effect play whenever I would block to a certain capacity. So this weapon I'm using right now is a longsword. Shields are mainly the main weapon in the game, or main item in the game, that'll make you sure you have 100% protection while blocking. Very rarely will you have a physical weapon that'll protect you 100%. I'm still labbing this, of course, because I don't want perfect blocks to be a end-all be-all. But whenever you perfect block an enemy right now, you don't take any stagger damage or stamina damage from you blocking the attack, as well as also you don't take any health damage as well. Now I'm thinking about just making it so it reduces the percentage of how much damage you take when you're not blocking 100%. That's just going to be labbed over time. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but it's going to take a little bit of testing and possibly getting some of your feedback to figure out what you guys like in terms of that mechanic. Now, skipping ahead just a little bit, I went further up to where I was fighting more enemies because I wanted to showcase the minor change I made to deaths in general, as well as the changes made to some of the heavier attacks and items. So basically, in this case, my character has pretty good kit in general, but when placed in a scenario where there's tight spaces and everything, since enemies still hold collision when they're getting knocked down or defeated, they can be additional obstructions for other enemies. I thought that was a cool feature to kind of have to try to make you mitigate your surroundings, which in this case, I'd also need to try to pay attention to some of the lighting in some of these areas. 'Cause I notice this one area is very dark, but I do end up losing in this situation, which makes it the perfect chance to showcase how I changed off how deaths happen in the game. So once your health's depleted, you'll see this menu for your aura being shattered. This causes you to respawn at the most recent aura mantle that you accessed. But not only do you just respawn, since I changed the game to try to speed up loading screens so you can get back into the action faster, now it just creates a new copy of the player and spawns you into the world. Which you'll see again, the dissolve effect comes back into play. So whenever you die, fast travel, or be teleported to a different area, you're going to see that effect take place to kind of resurrect you or reconstitute your body from aura whenever you're transported to different locations. Now, back to kind of Cedric in the opening of the demo. I've adjusted his look, I've adjusted his audio lines, as well as the voice actor for him has been provided new lines that have also been recorded for the future of his quest line and different plots, part of his story, which his story is still going to remain the same in terms of the plot he's facing. A lot of his internal struggles comes from how he handles these events, where a lot of these people have passed away or been killed by these creatures, and instead of him being able to help, he's kind of been pent up here closing the gate and not really having the bravery to even go down there and try to send to help anyone. Now in this case, we went ahead and skipped ahead to this part of the demo because we're trying to look for the best spot to kind of end this off so you guys can get a good idea of everything, as well as showcasing different things off. Which you'll notice used to be I would keep these kind of spaces closed off, but now due to there now being falling damage, I've made sure to keep these ledges open for the sake of being able to showcase that, as well as put you in situations where you can land on certain terrain to find secret items or treasures. In this case though, I just want to see how much falling damage I take with the armor I have on right now. Now of course there's a lot of balancing that goes into this. I don't want it to be too high because I still want you to be able to land into certain areas. There are going to be future rings and items in the game that basically mitigate falling damage, stagger damage, or different things to that capacity to make it a little bit easier to deal with these kinds of things, as well as certain armor sets also going to be able to improve that stat as well. So as you play through, you'll get more things, and also maybe I'll like wean back, but I'm probably going to be very aggressive on how strong falling mechanics are, mainly prevent you from being able to get to certain areas, which also helps me in terms of being able to design verticality. Because one of the big things about adventure games in general that changes as you do level design is whether or not characters can get down or get back from where they are in certain complicated situations. Now with my death here, I'm probably going to move over to showcasing one thing I was really close to, because there is another aura echo here, and it's leading into the direction where we're going to end our journey.
That damned coward! Cedric! Open the gates! What is the meaning of this? You fool!
Okay, so that was the same voice we experienced at the start of the game as well as in the other area as well. And it's alluding to that he was leading Lady Elsandra basically to try to get through this area and get to safety. So he had a very close connection with this individual. Now it's very clear that during their trial to try to get that done, Cedric did not play a positive part, as we were near a gate that was also locked down and closed.
Make the voices stop. Please make them
So now that
stop.
we're nearing the end of this showcase of this build, I'm just going to go ahead and level up my character a little to prepare for the little mini boss we're about to fight now. So in this case, we've kind of been listening to audio cues and audio lines, and all these aura echoes have kind of led us in this direction to where it seems to be a point of interest. So in this case, we're going to head to this location to basically just skip through these here, mainly because I just want to really fight the main target here, which is the boss of this little side area here. Now, with the changes to the game, he's overall going to function the same, but one cool thing has changed where he can be front stabbed and back stabbed as you fight him, as well as perfect blocks and different things now impact his stagger meter, which I'm kind of mulling over adding that to the boss's health bar as well, so you can see their stagger limit. It's kind of just labbing it, but I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going to lean for the next update. But for now, you'll be able to see him and his current health bar and everything. The moment I strike him, he's going to be added to my list of bosses that I'm facing. And then his health bar should appear. Yeah, but from there, thanks for checking it out. We're just going to let the rest of this boss play out, and basically I'm just going to enjoy the rest of this from here. I'm going to be releasing more videos as time goes by. Don't expect it too frequently since I'm still doing development pretty much every day while balancing an 8-hour job until I can find a publisher. So that'll be our new goal, basically, is just to try to at least produce some form of content once a week from some of the things I added to the game. Because as you can see, the difference between this build and the old build is very substantial, and actually has a lot more color than a lot of people remember from the original. Which, now that I look back, when people said the original version was kind of faded out, I can definitely see what they're referring to. We got so much more visual fidelity back with the new update and the changes. But that'll be it for me. Just feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and then follow the channel for more updates. As well as I am going to be, doing more in general. So just be on the lookout for new videos. Have a good one.
Welcome me into your arms. Your holy desire.